Welcome to the Triage Method podcast with me, Gary McGowan, and my co-host, Mr. Patrick Farrell. Just to let you guys know, remind you to make sure you're informed. We do currently have coaching spaces available. So if you listen to this podcast and you're thinking, you know what, I would involve getting on the path with one-to-one coaching under the guidance of Paddy or Gary, we do have spaces available and the information is below. And this week, we're going to be talking about a topic that relates to both of us, and that is the question of, should trainers be fit? Should we be fit, Paddy? Do you train?
I actually think the question is more so, should the trainer look the part?
Yes, right? That's pretty much it, really.
That's more realistic. And this is off the back of, well, a few things. Also just discussions in general in the health and fitness sphere. But I don't mind fucking calling it out. Brett Contreras said in his thing, his little defense of the hip thrust, whatever, he basically just called out the guy who made the paper that was against Brett's ideas, effectively, you know. And the paper we were discussing, was it a Q&A episode or was it the actual episode?
Yeah,
Q&A. So he basically said that the author of that paper did not even lift. He was like, we don't even know if he lifts, you know, and basically was suggesting that he does, in fact, not lift. And therefore, all his ideas are invalid.
Yeah, like for some context for people who aren't there, you know, right, last week on the Q&A, we discussed the topic of squat thrusts. You know, we were making the point that like, you probably shouldn't just run away with the ideas from a single paper, but you can't totally just disregard them. And we kind of paid respect to the fact that there might be some issues with translating that study or any single study to the real world. However, that does not mean that, like, you can just totally throw things apart because the recipe does not fit your criteria of what you think a trainer should look like. And in this case, like Matthias Barbalio, like his group have published a number of influential studies over the past couple of years that you know have been shared broadly within the fitness industry, within the evidence-based strength training and bodybuilding community. And like, this guy is a master's student. So from my perspective, like, ridiculously unethical to share a picture of a master's student in his t-shirt, which was used as an academic photo, to say that, oh, we have to call this guy's studies into question because he doesn't really look like he lifts. Like, so out of the bat, that to me is a little bit unethical. But that's beside the point here, because basically what we want to do is use this as a sort of a jumping off point for a conversation about a topic that kind of comes up. It comes up a lot of the time. And I would say I've got kind of views side of the aisle, because when we talk about, you know, being in shape, being fit as a trainer, I do believe that is quite important. And I think that, you know, but the most important part of it is that you actually practice what you preach, as opposed to being the best example of any one fitness outcome. And I think that's the clear distinction here, is that you can have skin in the game in that, you know, you actually practice what you preach. You know, you actually train regularly, you eat well, you try to get enough sleep. You do all the things that you would tell your clients to do. You accept those risks. You accept potential harm yourself through any of the practices that you're engaging in. Like, that's what's important about skin in the game. What's not important about skin in the game is being the strongest guy in the gym. You know, you shouldn't, like, if you want to get stronger, your trainer doesn't necessarily need to be stronger than you, nor do they need to be stronger than everyone else, because then you're just kind of creating a meritocracy that's not related to coaching. It's just related to competence in that area. Pick any sport. All the best coaches in the world, are they the same people that were the best athletes? Can be said in a personal training context. Your personal trainer doesn't need to be the strongest, the leanest, the most muscular, the fittest, but they should still, I think, have, you know, some skin in the game in terms of actually practicing what they preach, and that they're not living a totally different life to what they're telling you to live, because that's where things do become, you know, a bit more of a problem. So that would be my kind of summary introductory perspective, Paddy.
Yeah, I'm just going to say that if anyone is listening to this and first of all, they're hearing Gary come in and out, or me come in and out, it's because there's a storm across the entire of Ireland, and therefore the internet is fairly ridiculous. Anyway, hopefully you can still get the message of this. And also, if you're hearing a load of rain as well, that's on my side. Might even be on Gary's side as well. Anyway, yes, back to the actual issue here. So, like Gary was saying, I also believe that the trainer themselves, any trainer, whether you're an athletics coach, whether you are a GA coach, whether you are whatever, right? You should still have some skin in the game. Now, what that actually looks like is obviously going to be different based on the actual population you're training, the individuals that you are trying to influence and, you know, push in a certain direction. Like, it obviously depends, right? Like, if you are trying to sell purely based on the look of your physique, you know, then obviously that's only going to, first of all, attract certain individuals, and also it's only going to get you so far. Like, if your entire repertoire of knowledge or selling point is, oh, look, I got myself in shape, I can get you in shape, that means that you can probably only help one type of people, you know, because that it literally, like, it's actually really funny, because people use that as a requirement. They're like, oh, well, my trainer has to be in shape himself, or has to be shredded himself, herself, whatever, you know. And that's great. I actually somewhat agree with that. But also, it's like, just because they got themselves in shape doesn't mean that they're able to get other people in shape, you know? So if you are, say, for example, you come to me and you're like, Patrick, you are in shape, I want to train under you, and you are a 6'5" individual, you know, and you want to lose some weight, you know, that's probably the population that I can help the most, based on, if you just look at the results that I've gotten, you know. That's the only thing that I would know how to do. If all I had done as study, all I was marketing myself on, was the fact that I got in shape, that's the only population I can help. If you come to me as a 54-year-old woman who has just entered the menopause just a little bit, you know, and they're like, I don't know how to diet, I don't know how to train, I don't know how to look at recovery, I can't help you. I have no fucking clue how to help you now, because according to this thought process, just because I got myself in shape, I should be able to help everyone get in shape. But that's clearly not true. Like, I have never looked at this population, like, in this theoretical world. I've never looked at this population. I don't know the concerns that they have. I'm just going to put them straight on the exact same diet, the exact same training plan that I would give to this male 6'5" person, you know, because that's all I know how to do. That's the only thing I know how to do. So if you base it solely on the fact that someone has got themselves in shape, like, that's probably the worst way to go about it, unless you are the population that they are also, you know. So that's the first perspective on that. But getting back to this actual issue at hand, right? Like, again, we've talked about it before. You have to look at, like, what do certain ideologies incentivize? Because if you say that it's all based on, oh, does this guy even lift, right? If you're going to look at his paper and go, like, I don't really, like, one of my critiques of it is he doesn't look like he lifts. And we can also say that about Brett, you know, like, we can also just, like, ad hominem attack him. Like, the chap literally says every other week, he's like, oh, I tried to diet down, oh, I'm just too hungry, so I just went on a big 6,000 calorie feast. So clearly no one should go to him for diet advice, because he's not able to control his appetite, you know. He's just not able to do it. He says every other post on his Instagram is him basically saying, I can't diet, right? So no one go to him for diet advice. No one go to him for any advice in that realm, because he's saying it himself. He can't do it, right? Now, me saying that, you can clearly see that that's fucking ridiculous to just basically attack him and say, oh, you said this one thing, you clearly have no skills in this realm. So, nobody go to you for this advice, right? Everyone would be like, right, well, maybe he knows how to do it. Maybe he knows how to track calories. Maybe he knows, macros, all that stuff. He knows how to set up a diet correctly for an individual, and you'd go, yeah, he has the information, because ultimately that's the more important thing, the information. Maybe whatever his individual circumstances, he's not able to actually execute on that. Maybe he has, some, I don't know, inner demons or something that, he uses food as an outlet or some sort of comfort mechanism. I don't know the chap, so I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. Ultimately, it's his life. He can live it however he fucking wants, but again, it's like if you were to go to him and he was to say, I know how to get people in shape with these nutrition protocols, all you care about is the actual results, all the information, the ability to get you from A to B. Like, I don't care ultimately if he applies them to himself. Yeah, it certainly looks better if he's like, I can get anyone in shape, and he's able to do it himself. He's able to do it repeatedly with different populations. You then have an idea, you have a better idea that these theories that he has, these protocols that he has for diet or whatever, make sense, and they clearly work with different populations. Like, obviously, the more evidence of these protocols working, the more you can kind of trust them, especially if it's across multiple populations. So obviously, what I'm saying there, if I just said that about him, we can go, oh, well, do you even diet, bro? Like, ultimately, it doesn't matter if he's able to get people into the shape that they want to get in, and he has the information to do it. Does that make sense, Gary?
Yes, sir. And I think that's an important point as well. You were kind of, giving Brett the benefit of the doubt in this case, and that, like, look, we actually don't know why you don't have great success with dieting. Like, there could be other reasons that we're not aware of that limit your ability to have success with fat loss. And this isn't just like an attack on Brett. It just happens to be the example that came up. Like, in this case, like, it could be the case that Mateus Barbalho, the master's student, he battled leukemia from 13 to 18 and started training at 55 kilos and is now 80 kilos. And while he doesn't look like a bodybuilder or someone you might look to be the ideal candidate from a strength or hypertrophy perspective, he could have made fantastic progress. And that's the thing that comes up a lot of the time, is that very often, high level bodybuilders might look at someone who's giving training advice and say that, I should look at them, they're only 80 kilos, 90 kilos, which is, that could be pretty successful for that person because they could have gained 20 kilos of lean muscle mass. So if you're to only base your decisions as a trainee, let's say hiring a trainer, on how someone looks at the moment, like, someone could just genetically have better outcomes, and even at the start of their training career, they could have more muscle, be stronger than another individual who has been training for 5 years. And you'd actually be doing yourself a disservice in that case to choose the person that's in better shape. And that is the case a lot of the time, because if you only pick the individuals who are in the best shape, who are the fittest, are the strongest, you have to realize that in any case where you have outliers, there's going to be, you firstly have to realize, oh, they are outliers. And then you have to realize that there's a case of survivorship bias there. Because if someone has gotten to the point where they are an outlier and they are successful, then there's probably something different about their case that may not relate to you. And that could just be like their genetic background, their genetic makeup, that their genetics have allowed them to get through past all of maybe some suboptimal training practices, suboptimal nutrition practices, and they still got to this point. So you might be attracted to their training practices because they're a bit different, whereas they may not have even been a contributor to that person's success. Whereas another individual may have gained decisions, managing their nutrition, sleeping better, doing all of the things that were actually required for them to get optimal outcomes. So in one case, you've got someone who has, like, at face value, they don't have superior outcomes, but the practices that were required for them to get there, like, were really, really high quality. Whereas the other person, their outcomes look to be superior, but it's largely a case of them just being more susceptible to that outcome anyway. And it wasn't necessarily a case that their practices facilitated that. So I think that's something that is really important to acknowledge, because it does come up a lot of the time. And there are many examples of, high level bodybuilders who take months and months off every year from training, or they'll only lock in their diet before a competition. And if you think that, and in this case, as it relates to actual research, I do think there's actually a lot to be said for Brett's point if presented in a different way. Because I think there is a lot to be said about, we've talked about it before, Paddy, about having trainers who really understand the training process involved in setting up the study designs, for example. Because some of the examples of training programs that are rolled out, or maybe the techniques that are used, don't really reflect the real world in a lot of cases. So that's a very valid criticism. But that's more so a research or an academic concern. Whereas like in the real world, for trainees trying to hire a trainer, I actually think it is quite difficult to tell the difference between someone who, really knows their stuff and has, is getting great success with their clients, and someone who's maybe just relying a little bit too much on their own personal appearance or their own personal success. I think you can start to kind of filter that out, because if you, number one, if you analyze, or if you ask the person questions about how they've come to their conclusions in terms of like why they do what they do, if it doesn't go much further, or doesn't seem to go much further than, oh, this is always what worked for me, it's what I've had greatest success with, then I'd be a bit skeptical. And the other element of that is that if the person is, they're in great shape themselves, but they're not really producing results with a variety of clients, and particularly clients that are similar to yourself, then again, I'd be a bit skeptical. And even in the case where you see that trainers are producing results with very similar methods to those that they use themselves, there's still a cause for skepticism there, because what can often happen is that someone may get a very large influx of clients because of their appearance, because of their own success. And let's say they take on 100 clients and they kind of have a cookie cutter approach that's based on what worked for them. It might be the case that 10 have unbelievable outcomes, and it just happened to be the perfect approach for those individuals because all of their conditions were similar to the conditions of a trainer. It might be then the case that another 10 to 20, like, they actually did pretty well as well, but it was mainly a case of kind of them being able to survive the protocols and do everything that was required, as opposed to it being genuinely the best setup for those individuals. Then you might have another 10 to 20 that, yeah, they get on fine, but they know they're not going to be able to sustain it because the approach wasn't designed for them. And then you could have another 50% of people who just didn't really get results. The nutrition protocol just wasn't doable for them. The training protocol left them feeling under-recovered. They had some pain. The exercises didn't really suit them. So I think that's something that we've talked about before.
The last thing I heard was you said we've talked about before.
I said that we've talked about it before, but that issue is basically goes unseen in the fitness industry, essentially.
Fair. Yeah, like it's actually like, I'm just trying to think of it from the perspective of an individual trying to assess a potential trainer or potential source of information, because obviously, like we'll say, we're higher level in this field, like we have the knowledge to be able to critically appraise information, or at least I'd hope we both do, right? So we're able to do that. But as an individual, if you're just new to this stuff, like especially if you use a visual medium, something like Instagram or even Facebook to an extent, even YouTube as well, like you kind of are left to pick based on the appearance, and even if you're in the gym, you're walking around, you're like, oh, look, I don't know, I want to get a trainer. And you're looking at the trainers that are around in the gym, and you're kind of like, that guy's in phenomenal shape, right? It's very hard to know if that guy's in phenomenal shape, guy or girl, sorry, is in phenomenal shape because they know what they're doing, or because they're a genetic freak, or, which is also very real in the fitness industry, which we just can't discount, they're on heap loads of drugs, you know. Like you don't know. Like you as an individual, it's very hard for you to like critically assess that individual, right? And effectively, it comes down to asking information of that individual, asking them what kind of approach they would take with you, whether that is something that you think you could do, asking them questions about, you know, stuff that you've encountered beforehand in terms of your dieting or training success. If you're like, yeah, I can stick to a diet for 2 weeks, but then I just go off the deep end. Like, what protocols do they have for that? Is it just, oh, you're just going to have to suck it up? Because that's probably not great for you. Or again, the training side of things, if you're like, yeah, look, I get a little bit of back pain if I'm doing these exercises, and their only, you know, approach to that is, well, these are the best exercises, so we're going to keep hammering them. You know, it's like, okay, well, like maybe those exercises aren't the best exercises for you, or yeah, maybe your technique is bad and maybe they can clean that up. But you have to kind of ask about the approach before you actually, you know, effectively buy, you know. So it is hard, but I kind of want to just get back to the topic of assessing people based on looks, essentially, right? Because it is actually asinine to a large degree, right? And I'm thinking in specifically here of Brett, because like if this is the way he is approaching information, right? Whether or not this researcher lifts, right? Which again, as we've said, like this guy, I don't know, Parabola, whatever his name is, Parabola, that's no, whatever his name is, he like again, like you said, he could have fucking cancer. I don't know. But also, like, let's just take a step back, right? This is all like, we'll call it strength and conditioning research. There is such a multitude. For all we know, the guy trains fucking ninjutsu or something. He's a fucking ninja. Like, we don't know, right? He could be a jogger. Like, we just don't know. Maybe that's his fucking stuff. He likes to go for runs, you know? Like, we don't know, right? And whether or not he lifts, yeah, it's probably important if he's going to be setting up a study or whatever. But, you know, maybe he does lift, but he's a master's student and, you know, he just doesn't have the time currently to be on top of his game. And as you said, like, it's an academic photo. He's hardly likely to be fucking flexing and being like, here, I'm absolutely juicy in this, you know? Like, it's ridiculous, you know? But also, then we just have to take a step back and, like, again, assess the person making these claims against this other individual. Like, Brett trains women, right? Brett's not a woman. Last I checked, right? He doesn't identify as a woman, you know? So are we now saying that he isn't allowed to train women because that's not the population he is? Are we saying that all the information he has put out about women, wrong, see you later, fuck off? Because he's saying that this guy isn't allowed critique information because he does not even lift. He's not this population. So let's just turn that around and be like, again, like, okay, you're not the population that you train. So you physically can't know their lived experience because you haven't lived that experience, right? So all the information you put out is now null and void, right? So like it is ridiculous to just assess someone based on looks, you know, or even their experience in that field, you know, like as in their like lived experience, not their actual like experience training people, you know. So like, I don't know, like this whole thing it repeatedly crops up in the health and fitness industry, you know, where we just basically base everything on looks. And in my mind, I'm like, this, like, it's so ridiculous because again, like as we said, like you could be a genetic outlier, could be a freak, could just be on a boatload of drugs, could be like any number of things could lead you to have more muscle mass, right? But then it also assumes that that is the outcome that the majority of people are looking for, which is not the case. Like bodybuilders and even people that are in the health and fitness world, like on Instagram, say, you know, they have such a skewed perspective as to what is like muscular or lean or whatever. Like, you know, like when we talk to like clients and stuff, you'll see these little thoughts come out every now and again where it's like, oh, I want to get, you know, this lean. And you're looking at it and it's like, that's like 8% body fat, like very extremely lean. You know, that's it, like there's a lot of work that goes into that. And it's like, I don't think you realize that that's probably not what you want. And it's probably not sustainable year round for the majority of people, you know? But because the fitness industry like bombards everyone with these like, you know, physiques that it's like this is hyper shredded, absolutely huge glutes, muscles, whatever, all over the place. You're just kind of like, oh, well, that's what I have to aim towards, you know? Whereas, like, say, for example, if you're a male, if you get down to like 12% body fat, and you're probably leaner than about 98, 99% of the men on earth, you know? So it's like, it's not like you don't need to be this extremely lean to actually have good results based on the rest of the population. Yeah, for sure. If you want to like really dial things in and get to that level, yeah, cool. I'm there to support it, you know? But if we're like, okay, look, let's actually look at this in terms of the real world and not just this, you know, macrocosm of the fitness industry on Instagram where everyone's just posting like shirtless pics, you know? It's like the results you get, if you try to assess them based on that, you're always going to feel somewhat negative towards your results because, you know, all these individuals, again, you don't know their genetics, you don't know their drug status, you don't know anything about them, right? So if you base your results off that, like you can always find someone leaner, stronger, bigger, more muscular, more vascular, more whatever the fuck, you know? So like if that's the way you mark things, you know, based on the look of others, then like I'm sorry, you're going to have a bad time in this whole health and fitness industry long term, even if you're just, you know, like trying to train yourself over a longer time frame, you know? And like they always say that like comparison is the thief of joy. And this is especially true in the health and fitness realm where, again, like you're comparing yourself to individuals that are just not in the same circumstance as you know? Like they're, especially if their job is health and fitness and your job is like, I don't know, you're an accountant or something, you know, like you're not comparing apples to apples. It's not even comparing apples to oranges. It's like this is almost a different species. They literally, all they do is go to the gym, you know, their day is set up around that. Their sleep is set up around it. Everything is set up around that, you know, whereas you who has a job and you're doing your 9 to 5 and then you're getting to the gym when you can and stuff. It's like, that's like, these are two different lives completely, you know? So I don't know, like this whole looking at someone and trying to evaluate the information they have or possess based on their physique, based on their look, and then not taking into account their history, not taking into account, you know, their actual like results that they've gotten. Like again, like you said, this guy could have gained 20 kilos, you know, we don't know, like he could have started out even fucking way skinnier, you know? And then also it's like there's always going to be, if that's how you base things on, then there's always going to be someone bigger, leaner, stronger, whatever else, you know? So if that's how you're basing your choice on, then you automatically must go to the biggest, leanest, strongest, whatever person, not this person that you're like, oh, well, they're in good shape for the people around them. It's like, then you're only half doing your idea. You know what I mean? Like you're not actually even believing your own hype. That makes sense. You know, like you're not actually even believing your own idea of like, oh, well, I want to go for the biggest, leanest, strongest, whatever criteria you're using. Then you probably don't go for that individual. You're probably going for an individual that, I don't know, is in Kuwait or something, you know? But as I was saying, like it's the health and fitness industry is so broad and it's really weird because everyone always bases it off the results of bodybuilders effectively, you know? Like everyone looks to the bodybuilders where most people don't want to be a bodybuilder. Most people want to be able to, you know, run around, do some like cardiovascular stuff. They want to be able to look good on the beach. Yeah, that's fine. They also want to feel healthy. They want to feel strong. They don't want to be in pain. They don't want to be whatever. And it's like, that's bodybuilding is literally almost counter to that. You know, like you ask any bodybuilder, they're always like, oh yeah, like I'm in a little bit of pain here, a little niggle here because, you know, I'm training so hard. Or yeah, all my relationship with food is absolutely appalling. They're like going through these cycles of like, binging, restricting. They're always on their diet, off their diet. They're all over the place. There's no like balanced approach to that, because again, like it's a sport. Like you can't really be balanced if you're trying to be your best. Like it's a bit of a fallacy. Like, yeah, you can be more balanced than a lot of these people that are doing this, but there's always going to be an unnatural balance here if you're trying to get down to like 5% body fat, you know. And then also again, we have to layer on all the drug stuff that is rampant in the bodybuilding style community, you know. So I don't know, man. The whole argument, the whole discussion here, I'm kind of just like people are still going to base their thoughts off the look of someone, you know, and they're still going to like even like this, like someone listening to this and maybe they support Brett. Like as I said, like we've done a podcast on this. Like I actually think the hip thrust is a good exercise. Certain populations, as I said, like if you're a female and the limiting thing for your glute growth is the fact that the barbell is on your back and you know your upper body can't support that. I'm like, fucking great. Like we get our girls to do hip thrusts every so often, you know, like my girlfriend does hip thrusts, you know. I'm like, this is a great exercise, gets the job done, right? You know, this study, I'm like I don't see how this would change our approach. Like it shouldn't. Like, so again, I'm on the side of Brett to an extent, right? I'm like, yeah, the hip thrust, it's a tool in our toolbox, you know. Now, yeah, he has made his name off that, so obviously he has a vested interest in that. But I don't know, man. As soon as you just start attacking someone else based on their physique, like you start making that kind of ad hominem type attack, and also misrepresenting the individual, because again, you didn't give his story. You didn't ask him, does he lift? You know, I'm like, that just, in my mind, I'm like, that just completely destroys all your credibility. It's not even like some of your credibility, it's all your credibility, you know, because it's like that could just happen to anyone tomorrow, you know, like you could just do that to anyone tomorrow and there's no repercussion for you as an individual. You know, basically you use your clout to just attack someone else and you feel because you're in this high tower that, you know, oh, I'm okay. But like all you have to do is get someone, we'll just say, I don't know, like get some top bodybuilder or someone, you know, like, oh, we'll get Chris Bumstead to now say that Brett Contreras is a little bitch because he doesn't even look like he lifts. You know, like it's so asinine. You laugh at that because that it's so stupid, right? And that's effectively what he's just doing. Like, oh, here, look, I think he's 40 odd something. You know, this guy. Oh, I've been training for fucking 30 years or whatever he's been training for, and then he goes and says, oh, this guy doesn't even lift because he's been, you know, a master's student and doesn't look like in his academic photo. Like it's so stupid.
Yeah, like I mean, like a good counterexample to all of this is just like Lyle McDonald, who's arguably like definitely in like the top 5 most influential individuals in the kind of fitness physique sphere over the past like 20 years, you know, in terms of like the information he's put out as it relates to dieting, like getting really lean, gaining muscle, the role of nutrition in that, and training, and just his general writings on all things kind of training and nutrition. I mean, like Lyle has never had to post a photo to support that. You know, it's like he's just doing his thing, you know, in his gray t-shirt and jeans and just being like, yeah, used to do skating, but here I'm going to tell you all how to get jacked. And I respect that, like, because I mean, it's not the number one consideration. And in that case, like if someone is, you know, they don't seem like they're the best example of what they're writing about, see how their methods work for other individuals. I think that's a good way of people trying to assess this. You know, if someone gives you advice and it works ridiculously well for you, then you don't just turn around and say, oh yeah, but I mean, look at them. I mean, that's awful advice. Like clearly that's not a great way of thinking about these problems. And I think another thing to realize is that this is more so just kind of a note on like research itself. Like that example in particular of kind of using Mateus Barbalio as a scapegoat is a bit ridiculous if you think the way that research works, because like that wasn't just his paper. He just happened to be the lead author. He's probably using it for his master's thesis as part of the rest of the kind of bodybuilding research and hypertrophy research that he's been doing. And he has other members, Costa de Souza, I think some gentle guy, basically other people on that research team, all of whom are very experienced in the field of bodybuilding research. And that's what they study. They study things related to bodybuilding and resistance training. So, it's not like a single researcher is going to be the one that drives the whole study and that no one else gets a look in. So, we can't just use one person as a scapegoat. But yeah, I don't really want to say too much else about like Brett talking shit about that guy, because I don't really care too much about that. We wanted to use this basically as a jumping off point for this discussion in general. And I think another thing that I wanted to bring up in this part of the discussion was what you have to realize is that a lot of the time trainers will use old photos, or they'll use examples of like how they built so much muscle using particular protocols. But then what they'll do is like they're selling you a method that is totally different and telling you that you don't need to do all these things. Like I know loads of people who spend years and years and years and years eating, 6 meals a day, getting to a really high body fat percentage, trying to gain muscle, training, 6 times a week or whatever, but then using their basically means of marketing as being like something totally different to that. And I think that can be fine in some cases, because like we obviously all don't, you can't expect someone to just do something right all of the time. Like looking back on my own training, and yours is the same, Paddy, like we've both done stupid things along the way.
I did everything right from the very start.
Especially when you're a beginner, and that's totally normal. But in some cases you will see trainers, promoting things that are totally diametrically opposite to the way that they got to their initial goal. And I think you just kind of have to keep that in mind. Like one example would be, if someone is trying to sell you, I don't know, some diet to optimize your gut health because that is the secret to gaining lots of muscle. Like some people do that. Like if that's something that they're selling, but that they were able to build all this muscle before they ever, got to even thinking about these things like gut health or whatever, like you have to at least be somewhat skeptical of that. Like, is this just a means of marketing to look different because it is something novel? Or is it genuinely something they figured out? And again, like that's not a foolproof way of analyzing things, but it's definitely worth considering when there's an element of novelty to what someone is offering, because like that is like very often how we try to differentiate ourselves as trainers. We'll try to have some sort of system or some sort of dietary approach that is different or that is in a specific niche. And if the individual happens to have gotten really successful without ever having to engage in those practices, then you would be really skeptical. It's the same as if, someone starts promoting supplements and they actually never use those supplements until they got the sponsorship. I think you'd always really start to question that. And that's pretty much why like we're three years in business with Triage, and we haven't affiliated with any like supplement companies or anything like that, because it would sort of be like, unless it was like My Protein and we were just like, yeah, here, whey protein. And in some other cases, there's a select few supplements that are useful. It would be really disingenuous for, us to start saying, you need to buy this, specific supplement that is going to change your training. I've been using it for so long. Like one of the things I thought was really disappointing was a couple of months ago, I think it's Bang energy drinks, or one of those energy drinks anyway. They said I saw a load of people online posting basically the same ad copy about how this drink has affected their training and stuff. And like, for me, like, that's just like kind of disappointing. It's like there should at least be some honesty beyond that point. But yeah, that was just something I think that is useful. We've talked about that, Paddy, amongst ourselves, about trainers kind of, promoting things that played zero role in them getting to where they are, but also using their success as a means of marketing it, which seems a bit odd.
Yeah, like that is actually one of the things that, like, it's such an irrelevant thing, but it also actually annoys me so much in this industry, where people will sell you a product. Like, it's effectively what we're saying here with this whole discussion of, should your trainer lift or be in shape or whatever you want to discuss this, right? But they effectively sell an approach, their approach now, and then market their results from a different approach. Like, again, like we say, you go from like a very, I don't know, lean physique, you know, muscular, and that's they're always the pictures that you use to sell your product, right? But then you talk about something that's completely different right now, like again you said, like gut health or something, like you use some sort of, I don't want to say gimmick, because like all this stuff has validity, but you use
Yeah.
some sort of niche down marketing, we'll say, you know, and you're like, oh, that's the key. This is the key to results, right? And then they use a photo of them, I don't know, 5 years ago when they were a student or something, and they had 20 hours a week to exercise, you know, and then you look at them now and it's like, man, if you're saying that this is the key to untapped, you know, muscularity, leanness, or whatever, and then you look the complete like diametric opposite to what you looked like 5 years ago when you had those 20 hours to train, like surely you should have got bigger if you learned this secret in the last 5 years, you know. And again, it's like it's just shit marketing. Well, it's fucking great marketing, it's just shit ethics, you know. So I don't know, like it's very hard, especially in the online world, because people literally, you don't know when that photo was taken. Like you just think, oh, that's what that person walks around like. It's very, all the other photos of them, they're in clothes, you know. So I don't know, maybe when they take their clothes off, that's what they look like. They're shredded, you know. Like you just don't know, you know. So it's very hard as an individual to assess this information, you know. So yeah, it is one of those things that really, it's not even, it's a mild annoyance, you know. It's like a fly flying around your head. You're just like, you know, it's just a mild annoyance of mine where I'm like, this is just, it's unethical. And it's not so unethical that you would call the individual out, or the individuals, I should say, out, but it's also just like, I'm like why are you doing that? You know. Exactly. You're just like, oh, like but yeah, I don't know. So to kind of bring this back to the actual discussion point, right? So should your trainer lift? Yes. You know, should your trainer be fit and in shape? Yes. Yeah, like fucking 100%. They should have skin in the game, right? But as I said earlier on, like the goal has to be taken into account, and like Gary was saying as well, your actual results over time have to be taken into account. Again, like talking about this guy, he could have had fucking cancer and he could have gained 20 kilos. We don't know the fucking story, right? So like, why are you judging on him right now in this instant, right? You know, so again, you have to take the history, the actual goals into account. Like I know loads of unbelievable trainers, like resistance trainers, like they train populations to do resistance training and cardiovascular work, you know, and they themselves don't resistance train, right? They do something like dance or something, or they do like a martial art or something else. They're still exercising, they're still training, and yeah, they may have previously in their past done a lot of resistance training, so they have the knowledge. They've been in that position where they've got themselves in shape. They understand the basic principles, but right now, like resistance training is not something that enthuses them. They're on this other sport hype, and you know, maybe they get 1 to 2 sessions in per week to kind of keep things ticking along, but it's not their main goal. But they're able to get really, really good results with individuals, you know, because they understand the principles, you know. Like I'd hardly look at that individual and go, nah, look, you're not in shape. Like, yeah, you're in shape for your sport or whatever, but man, my in shape means jacked bodybuilder. So sorry, you're not in shape, bro. You should at least weigh 120 kilos at the minimum. You know, so it's like, first of all, you're basing it off the wrong population. You're looking at bodybuilders and saying that everyone should have that goal, when quite, I'd say so few people have that goal. If you look at it across the entire population of the earth, that it's actually so minuscule that it's actually ridiculous, you know. But then you look at like, what do people have the goal of? Again, it's like, oh, I want to lose some fat, build some muscle, I want to look and feel great, and I want to be able to, you know, be fit and pain free, you know. And it's like, that's not be a bodybuilder, you know. It's literally the exact opposite of that, you know. And this is also, again, going back, like, we have to take the goal into account with the individual when you're assessing them, especially if you're assessing them based on their in shape or their physique or whatever. Like, someone could be relatively skinny, you know, and they could be the best marathon runner in, I don't know, Ireland or something, you know. And if you're coming to them and you want to get in shape for doing marathons, that's probably a fucking good person to to come to, you know? So someone else looking at it like Brett would be like, oh, look at this guy, he's fucking doesn't even lift. And it's just ridiculous, because that individual could be the best individual for that population, you know, like for the marathon population, the running population, you know, they could be able to give you the exact protocols that you need for you to succeed, you know? So yeah, basically I fully think that people in the health and fitness industry should lift. Like if you are a trainer and, you know, you basically don't have skin in the game, you never do any resistance training or cardiovascular training or sports, or, you know, you don't look after your diet or do any of that stuff, and then you're telling other individuals to do that, and effectively you've never done it before, or you have done it but then don't do it now, like as in like you just don't do anything, but you're effectively just left in the fitness industry, and I don't know, you don't have any other skills or whatever, so you're too afraid to get out of the fitness industry, then yeah, I kind of don't agree with that. But I also don't think that we should base our results or base our trainer selection or our assessment of someone's information purely based on their physique. Their physique especially, because again, there's so much genetic variability there that it's like, okay, like that guy that we're talking about here, right? First of all, we're talking about a lower body lift, and Brett shared a photo of his upper body. For all we know, that guy has the biggest fucking ass in the world. He could have proper jacked, and I mean jacked legs. Like Tom Platz would be like, what the fuck is that? You know, like we don't know. But of course, we're just going to assess it on one photo, an academic photo of him, you know? Like, it's so ridiculous. But anyway, look.
Yeah. To play devil's advocate in this case, like judging, right, if we're going to take the perspective of a trainee trying to seek a trainer, I think that the more specific your goal down any one avenue, the more you should be looking that someone has some like experience themselves with that situation, or extensive experience, you know, coaching clients in that area. So I think that's where it does become a bit more important. Like, for example, if you are a power lifter who squats above 300 kilos, you're deadlifting like 380, your bench is like 250, then like coming to me, you know, I might be able to help you, but it's far more likely that someone like Mike Teixeira or another elite powerlifting coach who has competed at a very high level, understands all the demands of seriously high level competition when you're in the top like 0.1% of the world, like that's when those things become way more important. Like the more specific your goal ends up being, or the more advanced you start to become. The same would be said if you're training for the Mr. Olympia, you know, and you're taking a cocktail of drugs, you know, you're trying to get to the lowest body fat percentage you can possibly get to while maintaining every ounce of muscle. And I'm probably not going to be the best person to help you out there. You know, sorry, there's probably better people. The same can be said if you're an elite, you know, marathon runner. You know, you're running your 30th marathon, you're trying to get sub 245. Again, I'm probably not going to be the best person to help you. So the more advanced you are and the more specific your goal, I think the more the higher demand there is on the person to either have, you know, a lot of experience themselves or of experience training others, because the needs of those individuals go so far beyond what we can deduce from just research or just experience with kind of a broad, you know, base of clients in general. But I think like that's probably overplayed by a lot of people in the general population when they do try to select people, because realistically, like if you're just looking to, I want to gain a bit of muscle, I want to lose a bit of fat, I want to feel healthier, I want to, you know, live longer, I want to have better health, like there's a much larger pool of trainers from which you can pull, because most trainers should have the ability to work with a client like that very well. So that's a case where you're not necessarily just looking for someone who is the best example of any one fitness attribute, but rather that they seem to be flexible enough in their approach and knowledgeable enough in their approach that they can help people like you. So that's kind of just a way of trying to conceptualize this for the person who who has a particular goal, because as I said, if you have a very, very specific goal, you probably want a very, very specific trainer who has niched down. But for the vast majority of people, that is not a requirement. And obviously, this is kind of a difficult conversation for us to have, because we are trainers and clearly we have our own interests as well. And just telling everyone that, you should, avoid all these people who have these awful traits as trainers, like, does seem a bit disingenuous. So that's not the purpose of this conversation, which is why I'm trying to bring this up and say that, we're not saying that we are the best option. We're trying to give you, the individual who's trying to select a trainer, a better way of thinking about things. But there are, as I said, there are cases where you experience being in better shape, being fitter, where it is actually really important. And, I do think that if you're going to a trainer who doesn't eat well, doesn't train, like, I think that's like, I'd be far less likely to trust that trainer. No different than, if you went to your doctor and they've never eaten well a day in their life and they're trying to tell you how to eat healthy. I'm like, it doesn't mean they can't do it. It doesn't mean that they don't have valid advice, but I would definitely be more likely to question that person. Same as if I went to a physio and they're praising, the importance of physical activity, and they're telling me, how important it is to be active and how you can be more active, what strategies work well. If they've never trained or never exercised, again, it's difficult to take those pieces of advice on board. So an element of skin in the game, it's important for sure, but don't let it get ahead of other things that are important too.
Yeah, just on that, I also am just going to play devil's advocate on the other side, which supports my bias. So that's why I'm going to do it. Like, you also have people, if you do powerlifting as an example, like, well, I'm just going to state my point first and then we'll do it. Effectively, if you were looking for results, what you are looking for is your trainer, coach, whatever the fuck, to have information that applies to your situation,
yep.
Right? That can get you to the results that you want, right? Their actual individual results matter so little in that context. Yeah, if they have results on top of that information themselves, they've showed that they've applied it, fucking that's all the better, right? But sometimes that can be a distraction for them, right? Now, let's get back to this. So if you were a powerlifter, you could be like, right, I want to have the best coach for powerlifting, right? And a name that you might hear come up would be Boris Shako. He does not fucking lift. Like, I don't think that guy has lifted in his entire fucking life, right? That's for one. I'm just going to put that out there. Like, obviously, I think he has. But anyway, look, that's a name you might hear, right? And he's just out of shape. He's just not, clearly doesn't squat, bench, and deadlift, but gets good results, gets fantastic results, right? Or you could be like Eric Helms, right? And like, yeah, I don't know, I think he did some powerlifting, but his results in terms of strength, not great. Like, very average in my estimation. I'm sure other people would disagree with that, but again, I have an unrealistic expectation of strength. But anyway, a very average, strength. But he trains that guy, what's his name? Can't remember.
Bryce Lewis.
Yeah, Bryce Lewis. And it's like, Bryce is a fucking mutant.
Yep.
Right? So clearly selecting based on, Eric Helms only squats, I don't know what he squats, I was just going to say fucking 500 pounds or something. He only squats 500 pounds. So Bryce Lewis clearly wouldn't go to him because Bryce is a fucking mutant and probably squats fucking 900 pounds. It's like, well, no, like, Eric was able to help Bryce get to that position, because he has the information, the knowledge to be able to do that. It's irrelevant that of Eric's results. It's fucking so irrelevant, it just doesn't matter. Like, yeah, it's nice that Eric lifts as well and clearly has done these lifts. I don't know, I think he has competed in powerlifting, has done that sort of stuff. So he has an idea. He's gone through the process of peaking for this. He's done all the stuff. But ultimately, the thing that matters the most is the fact that he has the knowledge to be able to get someone to that position, And this is also true, again, with bodybuilding and stuff, because there's so many mistakes to make that you almost want a trainer that has made all the mistakes, which generally means they are older, right? So we'll say you're some 40, 50-year-old master trainer, maybe even older, training bodybuilders. You're hardly likely to be in your best shape ever at 40, 50, 60 years old, even with the rakes of gear, So like, they're getting results. These master trainers for, you know, bodybuilders, I'm thinking like Charles Glass, for example. Like, he's in great shape, but you're not going to be like, oh, he has the best physique in the world, you know, like right now, you know, like great shape, not taking it away, you know. But you're just like clearly the experience, the actual knowledge is the most important thing. So if you base everything based on the results, like the physical results or the strength results or whatever the thing is of that individual, you kind of miss the forest for the trees, because at the end of the day, it's the experience you want, the knowledge that you want, you know, like you want someone that has done this lots of times with lots of individuals, you know, like, and to completely counter that, you also just don't want, because I always try to like put this into another context, you know, like say for example, you are pregnant, you know, and you're selecting your doctor to help with your fucking pregnancy, you know, it's like on the day, you know, like, do you want someone that has never delivered babies before, you know, but they've read all about it, right? Or do you want someone that has delivered fucking hundreds of babies in the past, you know, and they maybe haven't read all about it, they're not up to date on the most scientific research, you know? Most people would probably pick the person with experience, you know. Yep. And that's fair enough. But fortunately, that's not the discussion we're having here. We're talking about people that it's like, okay, this person has had a baby themselves, right? And that's their entire experience, right? And then this person over here has, you know, the knowledge to deliver babies. I'm like, who would you pick there? I'd probably pick the person that has the knowledge, has read all the books about delivering babies, you know? Like, again, just because you got results, like you had the outcome, you know, you had the baby, it's like, that doesn't, like, that means so irrelevant to the actual delivering of babies, that whole discussion, you know? Like, in my mind anyway, you know? But again, this is a personal opinion, you know? It's an opinion piece, you know? And so it's up to you as an individual to make your own decisions. Maybe you value someone having walked the walk themselves, and you don't care if they have, you know, shit information. It's like you just value the fact that they've done this themselves.
Yep. So like, I mean, kind of like summarizing all that, we've basically given points and counterpoints for every part of this argument. And I think that's important, because if we just came out here and said, yeah, they're all other trainers and the way that they do things are idiots and you should only, you know, trust us, then very clearly we're just trying to sell you something. And that is not the case. As I alluded to, there are many trainers who could do a better job with some clients than I could. And that's absolutely the case. But to Paddy's point there, like, experience is experience, and getting results yourself can really only take you so far, you know. And a lot of athletes, elite athletes, like they can be ignorant to what actually works for them, you know. And even be very high level sport, some of them never paid a day's attention to their nutrition, or even thought about their training more than twice, because they just did whatever the coach said, and they were elite because they were elite, and that's the way it works. So yeah, there's pros and cons to valuing experience, but in summary of kind of my perspective on all of this, I would say that, you know, someone showing an interest in, you know, partaking in the practices that they're advising others is something that I would value. I think that's important, especially coaching the general population for a lot of the goals that people are interested in. Like, obviously, like these days, it's far more common for people to eat a poor quality diet. It's more common for people to be sedentary, to be weak, to be unfit, to be over fat. And I think that, like, leading as a trainer by being an example of, you know, what people should be trying to emulate, I think that's really positive. And I think that is something that I would value highly. And, you know, some people don't think that's important, and that's fine, but that's definitely something that I would value. However, having said that, I don't think that is a reliable means of assessing a trainer's merit or their ability. But it's at least something that is worth valuing. When you are trying to assess one's abilities as a trainer, you do need to look beyond how they look or how successful they've been. I would generally look for flexibility in training and nutrition approaches. I think that good coach generally willing to change what they normally do with different clients. And it's always a bit of a red flag for me when I see coaches who, their programs seem to consistently be the same, and they have like methods that they are known for. Because if you have methods that you're known for, and that like this is the triage program, for example, if we had a triage program that all you knew, like that's the way they train, then I would always be skeptical of that. Because like there's that there's that quote from, it's attributed to Upton Sinclair. I don't know who initially said it. I don't really care. But the quote is, you should never expect a man to understand something if his salary depends on not understanding it. So if someone has interests vested, like they clearly have an interest in particular methods, whether they be training, nutrition, a specific exercise. Like if we sold our whole business based on, we are the squat guys, that is what we do, we get everyone to squat, then obviously we're going to be far more critical of things that go against squatting than it would be if it was a bench press critique or something like that. So I think it's important to be aware of that as part of this conversation, because if trainers or businesses have specific methods that they sell or they promote more than others, then it's very unlikely they're going to let go of those, or that they're going to be flexible in their training approach. So yeah, they'd be the considerations I'd like people to take away from this conversation. Don't judge people just based on how they look or how fit they are themselves. Do look beyond that and look for other qualities.
And just to close it out, if you are in a position of power and then you effectively mock someone based on the way they work, based on the way they look, then you're a scumbag. So that's what I just like to close the podcast on that. And especially if you think that is a valid argument for your own points and it doesn't just discredit you, you're a scumbag. Anyway, we're going to wrap this up. Do you have anything else to say? Where can they find us? All that stuff.
As always, guys, you can find us on the Triage Method Community Facebook page. That's a really good place to get involved with discussions that we're having. We, post other content in there. We post some posts ourselves, kind of things that we'd be interested in. So yeah, get involved in there. You can also get involved with our newsletter. It goes out every Sunday, and that includes all the content we've posted throughout the week, as well as an exclusive article on a different topic every week and recommended resources. So that is content that you won't find elsewhere, in terms of like, we don't post on our Instagram or whatever. So it's important to subscribe to that. You can subscribe to that in the description box below. As you know, you can follow us on our regular social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all worth subscribing. If I was to pick one out of those, I'd probably subscribe to the YouTube, because you'll get the other content through the newsletter and all that anyway. So you'll be able to keep up. Also, you are obviously at this point aware of our services. As we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, we do have spaces available for online coaching. Obviously we spent the whole podcast telling you what trainers shouldn't do. And since we are the gold standard, you should sign up for coaching with us. Not serious, obviously. But yeah, if you do think that we could cater for your goals and you'd like to get kind of, one-on-one help to start to build a training approach, a nutrition approach that's going to work for you and your goals, and that could be something you're interested in. As we've alluded to, we don't have specific methods to sell you, because they depend on what you actually want. And that is basically the meaning of triage. We do also have group coaching. So if you feel like, oh yeah, I need some guidance, I'd like to have my training clips looked over, I'd like to have a program to follow, I'd like the guys to help me tweak my nutrition, then that's something you could get involved in. We have male and female options available there. So group coaching, that's a much cheaper option for those who they need a bit of help, but you don't need the intense level of help required on the kind of online coaching side of things, the one-to-one. Then we do have our program templates and ebooks available. So if you're interested in just kind of getting a one stop, pick up this ebook, pick up these programs and get on the path with your program, you can get involved with those. And that's about everything, I guess, is it?
Yeah, it is everything. And obviously just join the Facebook group community and interact. And we're going to wrap it up here. Hope you enjoyed this. And if you didn't enjoy it, give me a thumbs down on YouTube or a thumbs up, or just message me and say you didn't like it. I don't know. Anyway, peace out.